So on this swing right here, I want you to really feel that motion. So do one more time. You're really good at it, actually. So
thanks.
Take it to the top. You're coming down, ground pushes up, and go. That's exactly how we want to see it. Let's see you hit one just like this.
Okay.
So again, you guys are going down a little bit, and you're coming up.
Before we get started on this video, I just want to thank these people on the screen for supporting our show. If you want to support us and help bring more free educational videos like this, the link is in the description. Hey everybody, this is Tony from the future. I just got done editing this, and I think there's some really good information. If you don't want to watch the swing evaluation, do me a favor, I put timestamps below. You got to watch that last piece about torsional control and sequencing. I think it's really valuable information for you. But other than that, appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. Hit that like for me. But let's get going. Welcome back, Land Golf Academy members and guests. So today I woke up, went to my email, and I saw one of our subscribers sent me this video to watch and said, hey, this might make a good video. It's about Claire Hogle and her golf swing. So I went and watched it, and it just dawned on me this could actually work for a video that I was planning to do today anyway, about proper sequencing, utilizing the ground forces. Now you might get into trouble when you start utilizing up and down motions like they are, and don't get me wrong, this definitely works for her because she is quite capable of hitting these positions. So we're going to do things a little bit different today. We're going to analyze her golf swing first, but then after the analyzing, we're going to look at this slinky toy that I borrowed for somebody in this house and explain what torsional rotation is and how it can affect your body. But the moment you start adding this up and down motion, all hell can break loose if you really don't have the body type to do this. And then we're going to relate how steel is not quite the same as body and what you need to look for your limitations and how to utilize this correctly. But I can just see people watching this video, and all of a sudden we're going to get a bunch of people going up and down, and next thing you know comes Mrs. Havenkamp's pool and interrupting Mrs. Jabroni's paddle tennis championship of 2025. You don't want to do that. But let's take a look at Claire Hogle's swing and see the cause and effect to show you what actually occurs versus what she is feeling. Two different things, and how she's able to hit this golf ball is pretty phenomenal. Okay, on the screen we have Claire Hogle now. Look at this swing. It is just a beautiful motion. She can get to the positions that most of us just cannot. And there's a frame right here. So let's look at this frame right at impact. If I can find my mouse right there. Let's back up. So this position here, just look at this. And I know all the men in the audience are saying there is just no way that I can do this position here while clearing the left side. Look at the amount of pain that just looks like happening over here. Let me just try that out. Like just doing that, I feel a bunch of cracks in my back, so physically I can't do it. I don't know many men that can do this, so this is why the caution alarm should just go on when you're talking about up and down motions, because there's a lot of compression at the golf ball, and how do you release that compression if you can't stay in your posture? So let's break this down a little bit further. Let's start with the practice swing, because the practice swing can really show you what feel versus real is not. So if we watch this over and over again, and you notice it's been clipped out, I just had to kind of piece these together because in her practice swing she kind of bobbed up and down, but just to give you an idea of how this is working, and the feel does not relate to the actual real. So if we go ahead and freeze it right at the top of her swing here, and we take a look at her head height. So we're going to do this, yes, we're going to do this in Barney Purple, and we're going to see there is the head height, and look at how much the head drops down. So we do definitely drop down. Now remember, that's compression, and it's not necessarily her upper body compressing down, it's her whole knees collapsing and compressing into the ground. Now you take a look, there's no way for her to hit this golf ball without going back up. So even though she went down even further down there, so let's do a new line here, and once we get down into impact, now we feel the motions going up, but you can see it's nowhere near to where she was originally, and there's no way to hit this golf ball. And you'll see in our Ivan Red, look at this angle that she is able to conserve much later than actually what would occur if she were to get her body in this position when she strikes it and she releases. Guess what's hitting that turf? That golf club is going to crash right into that golf ball. You're going to break your shaft, you might break your wrists. So ideally this is not the position to be in unless you can hold it so long that you are now in this position. But take a look here. So now she's avoiding the ground completely by getting this excessive tilt to keep her hands out and still maintain that angle. Now I know this is definitely a field drill, and this is what feel is, and we look at the reel, there not even close, but obviously we have to feel to the extreme. So when you do regress, when you take a golf swing, it is probably a step or two closer to that feeling, but it's not necessarily the case. But let's back up a couple frames here. And this angle here, this looks very unnatural when you have that right forearm so tucked in, and this really does not occur. But again, this is feel. We're feeling the compression of the upper body going down by the knees collapsing and then pushing back up. So we're going to take a look at her real swing now and see, do we see much of this compression, or does she just stay level? How much does she move down? And what really occurs down at impact from the face on and down the line? Okay, so here's the face on down the line. Mellow yellow is going to be our right brace line, and also the back brace line to see any motions into or away from the golf ball. We've got the OG Barney purple lower and upper plane line, and also the spine angle line resembled by none other than Gumby Green. Man, why are these important? They're not do or die lines that you have to live and die by, but it just helps you see some natural compensations and cause and effect. Now, every golf swing is a cause and effect. Now, if we draw a arch of the heel straight up the sky, we can see we're pretty balanced. Now, I know that she might have her feet closed just to help her enact some turn, or the camera angle might be a little bit off. That's the problem with these, is it's very based on camera that can change some of these illusions. But right now, it looks very athletic, ready to go. On the left side of the screen, what we can see is our setup. Now, this is a key thing I want you to look at in your setup. And we just did a cause and effect on Freddie Couples, and he had a similar setup in terms of where the club is related to his center of his chest. So let's just redraw the line because it's not quite there. There we go. And if we take a look at where the tilting of the shoulders are, they are fairly close to 90 degrees to where that golf ball is, and that is a beautiful setup. And when we take a look at where the club shaft is, it is parallel to that line. So everything again is pointing to the power source of your swing, which is going to be the center of your shoulders, because that is basically where the club would like to bottom out as you are moving through. And if you take a look at all golf swings, the club head gets furthest away from your chest right when it reaches the bottom of the circles that is created by the shoulders, which the center of that circle is the chest. Now, you look at your swing and see where that club is the furthest away. That is the bottom of your swing arc. And does it happen before or after? That's all based on the user. So we're going to keep the setup lines the way they are, and we're going to add and take them away as we move on through the swing. But the first move back, we do see the initial shoulder turn, hip turn, everything's moving one piece. We know this is a really good one piece takeaway because look at that setup. The hands are still in line with the center of her chest on the right side of the screen, which again duplicates her setup. So we know this is more of a one piece takeaway. Is a one piece takeaway a necessary thing? Not really. I've seen people take it away. Look at Freddie Couples. He took that thing up with his arms and then turned. So again, it's all up to you, but basically, can you replicate it? On the left side of the screen, we do see more evidence of this. Look at that triangle. It is still well connected to her center of her circle as she is just turning back with her body. A very good wide takeaway. Remember, width will equal power. The more wider you can take that club back, the more you can compress into the golf ball by getting your hands a little bit closer, but it comes down to your tilt and turn at that point. But as you can see, the shoulders get to about 90 degrees, right about there on the left side of the screen, and she is only halfway back of her swing. So here we have somebody that is very flexible. Right side of the screen, we do see some shoulder tilting loss when the left shoulder does come up, but this could help you preset more into out motion because that right shoulder is going to be lower than if you maintain your perpendicular to your spine angle. So there is some positives and negatives to this. This will help you get more turn, but you have to be careful of how much turn you're trying to steal based on your body limitations. As we get to the top of the swing, so we see from here to here, we don't see much more shoulder turn. So we see that turn of the body has established much quicker than when we saw Freddie Couples. Now, as we get to the top, we can see that the right side of the screen, the arms don't quite get as high as they would like based on that setup, and that's just due to the fact that we do lose that shoulder tilt, and when the left shoulder gets higher, our arms will start to work their way down. So the more tilt you enable, then your arms will want to try and get higher. This is a little bit of the opposite. So look at your tilting, look at your posture, and see if you're able to maintain your posture while you tilt. If not, you are going to develop compensations. Again, every golf swing is a compensations. The better golfers compensate better, or they have better positions to work with to develop compensations. But the left side, look at this. There's the shoulder turn and there's the club. They don't go past each other. So you want to form that T. And if you can form that T by establishing turn, you are golden. But when I see some issues with amateurs that are not able to turn as much, they make up for that with the arms flaring back. And now all of a sudden, guess who is coming back to dinner, we don't want that special sauce at our golf tee box. We want to just be striping it so stay more connected. But this is the moment of truth. So we got that blue line, impact line. We're going to look at the sequencing, and not only sequencing rotation, but do we move up and down like we saw her move so much in her practice swing. So just to help it make it easier, we're going to draw a yellow horizontal line right over her head. So we're going to do this make it a thicker line. There we go. So we definitely see the room that we have. Now let's take a look at that blue line and then also the yellow line. So initially we see that there is definitely the knees hit that impact line first. We don't see as much dropping down. However, right side of the screen, what do we see here? We see the club moving down very quickly, and this is due to the fact that we have a couple things working for us. Number one is we do have a lower triangle check due to the shoulder tilt loss by the left shoulder coming up higher, which will preset your hands lower. So if we take a look at this angle, they actually fall down on our view left side, which is really, really good. So this is also assisted by the amount of turn that she has established, the amount of spacing that she has between her hands and her hub of the wheel. She can actually move her hands down much quicker, and she's very, very flexible, which definitely helps. So we get below our triangle check initially, which will then get us flatter. So look at this. This is right on that lower plane line. This is phenomenal. This will definitely give you some upward launch angle, and I believe her numbers as she struck this was 17 degrees, so she is not suffering from upward launch, and this is the move that can help you. It's not necessarily going down and up as much, because we see on the left side she doesn't really go down and up as much. But take a look, let's back up the frame, a couple of these right here. So this is a unique position because we see the tilting of the knees is a direct reflection of the tilting of the hips. So we're going to see that early tilt established right away. And this could be that feeling of dropping down to get your knees in a position where the right knee will collapse slightly and then be able to push up. So the hip tilt is established a little bit sooner than most, and I lost the line, so let's redraw that. So now we go down into impact. So we see that angular momentum. Is it as much as our practice swing? Let's draw this in Barney purple on the left side of the screen. We don't see as an exaggerated amount of angular momentum. Look at that right elbow. It is not leading like we saw in that practice swing, specifically in this position here. It's straightened out, and this is just forces at play. You can't override laws. Laws happen. Physics happens. So no matter who you speak to, there's no new law, there's no new magic move out there. You're just stuck with what science gives you and your body limitations. So we're at this position, we're looking for that right leg to straighten up as we saw her in her practice swing. So right now on the left side, we don't see much going down, but take a look at as we strike the golf ball. So we see the right leg does extend, but well past the golf ball. It doesn't extend at impact. So even at impact, we still see the knees are still breaking down, but she's still pushing through from this moment to this moment up. Look how straight that right leg is. So do we see the head moving down? Not necessarily. We don't even see it moving back up. It actually goes down even more while she straightens it. Why is this? Because the force is being moved up in this direction. So this is a beautiful force application here, but the upper body will have to tilt back and stay down to keep her balanced, because if she went up with that, she topped the golf ball. Now if we clear up all these lines, we can see let's draw this in an easy color to see. Look at how that right arm is still favoring her right shoulder. So we usually see the other at this point. We usually see the amateurs get that right hand to face the left shoulder or even further left, because there is so much hand manipulation. But because she can stay down and tilt this much while maintaining that right shoulder tilt, this is really, really, really hard to do. I would say there might be a handful of people in the world that can do this. So this is why it's very, when I saw this, it's like, oh my God, here we go again. Up and down, up and down. I can just see that a bunch of amateurs out there trying this up and down motion, only to be very frustrated that they can't do this, because it takes a certain body type, a certain elasticity, a certain use of ground forces to really work. And now, does she do an exaggerated motion? Not even close. It's a few inches moving up and down, and she is doing it as best as you can. So imagine how your feel can be misinterpreted. And I only say that because when I first got into instruction, I was trying to teach people my feel, so what I felt. So in other words, I'm not trying to keep connected. Because I'm a little bit more of a bigger person, I would definitely feel some elasticity stretch on my left side here. So I would be teaching my students, hey, you want to feel that elasticity on the left side because now you know you're connected. But if I come into a person like her who is definitely more elastic than me, she wouldn't feel that stretch at all. She might feel a stretch somewhere else. So I was doing a disservice to my students by preaching this. But as I developed as an instructor, it's like, hey, it doesn't matter about my feel. I'm going to put my student in a position where I feel they need to be, then ask them directly, how does this feel to you? Any pressure that you feel, any weight distribution differences that you feel, anything. Let's just come up with a thing that we can work with. So they would give me their feedback and we'd build the backswing on their feel. So when you're dealing with feels, when you're dealing with exaggerated motions that really do not occur in the golf swing, you are going down a path that you're going to need about 10 passwords to figure out. But now let's just talk about what the difference between the slinky example, what we're looking for in the slinky, and we talk about what's actually occurring in the body. So when you think about the golf swing, you hear a lot of people talk about rotation and sequencing and ground up and you're firing the lower body, but what does this really mean when it comes down to creating torsional control? Because there is some torsional energy that occurs in the golf swing by your rotation, and that is limited to your body makeup and the limitations of your muscles. So basically, if you look at the slinky and I go ahead and turn it and release it, I'm going to show you a video now of me doing it pretty wound up, and we wound it up in the lower parts. So as this is playing right now, you'll see where the energy unwinds first. It's not from the ground up as you would think. It actually unwinds where the most torsion is created, and that is where the tension occurs. So if I go ahead and unwind the slinky up from the bottom, I'm going to focus just on bottom and now release it. We'll see where this thing will unwind. It unwound from the bottom. Same thing at the top. If I just twist the top and let go, it's not going to move at the bottom because there's no tension there. There's no stored energy at that bottom of your slinky. So it all depends on what your limitations is of your muscles are. And you can see this happening when you get the amateurs out there. They have a lot of rotation, but if they don't fire that lower body soon enough, they're going to uncoil where the most tension is. So if I get in a good position and I feel a lot of stretch in my lats or even my shoulders, my body's going to want to release that sooner. So it's going to unwind from that position. If I don't sequence my lower body and time that unwinding, let's say I don't sequence my lower body at all, guess what I do? I come over the top. So it's about timing that lower body, but just remember the energy needs a reason to move. So you have to be careful of where you store your rotation at the top of the swing. If you just think about, I want to turn, and you're so wound up with your muscles that when you want to release naturally with whatever torsional energy you do have, it is going to want to move first where it is the most tightest. So you had better figure out your timing and get your lower body involved sooner to time that release. So this is where timing, the video topic of yesterday, why timing is so important, so overlooked in the golf swing world out there, because without correct timing, you can have the most perfect positions in the world and still not be able to hit the golf ball effectively. But you know what, Tony? We're not made of steel slinky toys. We actually have fibers and we actually have to deal with the resistance of your muscles. And yes, that is true. So the biggest difference between muscle elasticity and steel is not biased. It's just going to release the energy where it's stored the most, where muscles are a little bit biased, and it comes down to your own twitch fibers and how you release them. So we have fast twitch, slow twitch. What type of player are you, and are you using them correctly in your golf swing based on the turn? And no amount of YouTube knowledge can help you with that because we can't get to you in person. So the biggest difference is when you stretch your muscles, you're actually storing the elastic energy. So this is basically how your muscles will behave in the golf swing if you limit the rotation and turn around that limited rotation, but they don't snap back like a rubber. I'm not going to pull them back and snap back automatically. Instead, what happens is a little bit more important. So when you stretch your muscles under the tension, you're actually placing them in a better position to contract harder and faster, meaning you can create more horsepower when you fire them later. And on top of that, you're also building some of this torsional energy energy, like twisting the slinky, where your body still's rotational force is ready to be released. But it all depends on what? You as the person. So it's not as simple as saying, go down, up, get the rotation, sequencing. Sequencing is a very challenging thing because nobody sequences the same. We're all built differently. We all have different muscles, abilities. Our twitch muscle fibers are different. The way we utilize the ground is different. The way we set up can affect that. The way we take away can affect that. Where our ball position can affect that. So this is why I say just look at this YouTube stuff for giggles. That's all you can really do about it, including mine. I mean, you're not going to take my word for it. You've got to go and look at a local coach, support the coach. They have families and mouths to feed. But I do hope that helps you. If you let me know in the comments if this is helpful for you or not, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for the support. Other than that, fair as the greens.